Let's elevate our forward stroking and take it to the next level. It's all about details. The details of knee action, of the rock of the skate, and maintaining excellent posture. So let's start there. Eyes straight ahead and shoulders over hips. Bending our knees is no excuse to lean forward. Arms extended side to side, just low enough to reduce tension in the neck and shoulders. Initially, we may find that this posture causes us to ache in our arms and shoulders, but we get used to it. Good forward stroking, I like to think of as having a triangular pattern of motion. That's in terms of the idea of going down really, really strongly. So that's one side down the pyramid. Then pushing, that's creating the length and the width across the bottom, and then rising back up to the top. So much like a conductor conducting the waltz rhythm. Please forgive me, anybody who's watching this who's a conductor. I don't know enough, but I've seen a few times this little triangle, the sense of bending, lengthening, and rising. Then we can repeat. Bending on the opposite side, lengthening, rising, and we can see that in motion now. While maintaining our best upright posture, we bend our knees deeply as our first action. As we apply pressure back into the stroking foot, our pushing leg should reach out and straighten to propel us forward. The weight-bearing skating leg should remain in a deep bend. Be mindful, it will be tempting to straighten your skating leg here. The human body just loves symmetry. But you must wait a moment longer, because we use the straightening of that skating leg to neatly scissor close the extended leg. And we cycle through these movements every single time we take a fresh stroke of the ice. Each time we reach the midpoint between strokes, we have a brief moment to collect our limbs and prepare with a special detail coming up next. If you're familiar with our Learn to Skate series, you may have come across our floating T concept. Well, we're going to be using slightly more of a floating V. The midpoint between our stroking cycles should see our feet meet, heel to heel, with the toes pointing outward ever so slightly, making a shallow V. So shallow that it may appear they are parallel. But on closer inspection, we should note the thighs are also in the same slightly open position, priming the legs for the next stroking cycle. A follow view can help us see this detail more clearly. Heels connect, toes, thighs, and knees hold their mild turnout. And we rebend as deeply as we can. Ready for the new stroke to begin. But we're not done yet. Let's layer in another detail for our feet. At this midpoint of connection and rebend, for every degree of flexion in our knees, we must pull up our toes in a movement known as dorsiflexion. Effective dorsiflexion greatly reduces our risk of tripping over our toe picks during weight transfer, and is essential to connect the blade with a good running edge as it connects to the ice. Our depth of knee bend and the resulting power and aesthetics will be limited by the angle of dorsiflexion that we can achieve. So if you want powerful, deep knee bend, build range and endurance in your shins and ankles. Stretching oneself in terms of finding how deep our knees and ankles can truly go whilst we're balanced and preparing on one leg prior to stroking is going to decide how much power and length of stride that we can get. So build it up gradually, but do build upon it. If you are ever bothered by pesky toe pushes, then listen up. We all began our skating with toe pushes something like this. And getting out of that habit takes mindful practice, because it's all about the angles. This detail work can often seem less appealing than flashier skating skills, but it is worthy of attention from the very start.
So our angles are the knees and the ankles. They are the opening of our blade as we are stroking away, so the outward rotation of the legs and feet from one another, floating V, bending and opening, opening, opening. If we are lacking this opening motion, this is the result. Stroke form which can never develop true power, as the blade fails to reach the optimum angle to apply pressure to the inside edge. Additionally, in this example, we can note no follow-through for the opening action as the blade leaves the ice, leaving a less pleasing free leg line after the stroke, strongly indicating that this skater needs help learning to activate turnout from the midpoint and onward into the stroke. The other opening is the reaching away, the stretching out of the knee angle. And the final and most important angle is our ankle. We must make sure not to engage the final point away of our ankle until the very last moment. This skater has created enough opening of the stroking blade, but has begun to plantar flex or point, opening the joint angle of the ankle too soon. This rolls the contact point of the blade forward and into the pick. This skater needs to focus on the timing of their joint angles and how the reach away of the stroke allows each joint angle to become greater. It's practical trigonometry and geometry. It's the biomechanics of ice sports. If we engage that motion early, we will make toe contact with the floor either as a full-on toe push, or worst case scenario, we've done mostly a good push and then we just get that little snippety sound at the end that suggests it might have been a hint of a toe push, and we end up losing credibility for our technique. Judges have a real ear for that, so be mindful of the timing of when you extend into your ankle to point that toe.